Alright, thank you for watching another episode of Soto Desperado Plays Skyrim. And we're going to play some videos in the background that I like to listen to, just so I can keep aware of things. And we'll kind of go from there.
I'm the hardest worker in my family. Better than any man. Most women would rather die than dig.
Okay. Alright, so there's plenty of things to do. And I still have my potion stuff on. I should change that. Let's see. Put my hood back on. Don't really need that. Got everything else on. Alright. Alright, so I was trying to get my one-handed going all the way up. So I'm at 83. Alright, so that bonus is there. So the guy's a master, so technically he can get me to 90 as a master. The orc that I get training from. Yeah. So, let me check something. No, we're good. Alright, so let me save that so I don't lose that. And now we're going to go ahead and go and look at the videos we're going to play. I got several lined up. We may just get through a couple of them. Some of them are kind of long. This is a 15-minute video by Ashley Pickens. I decided to go ahead and subscribe to her. And because she seems to be on point with most of these things. The title of her video, Ashley Pickens' video, is U.S. foreclosure hotspots in July 2024. Top cities and states where homeowners are struggling most. Well, we're already in August, so this is a 3-hour ago video. So that what that means is that information she's pulling from is an older video or an older thing. Highest foreclosure rates for July 2024, including Delaware, Nevada, Utah leading the way. Wow. Thankfully, no mention of Texas, but I don't have any realty. That's why a lot of the stuff that happens with realty, it doesn't really concern me. I did want to be a homeowner at one point, but I would have been the master of a shack, which probably would have given me more problems than it's worth. And of course, it was in a gang-ridden area. I had to pass on that opportunity. Anyway, we'll go ahead and put her up.
Guys, welcome back. I'm Ashley Pickens here in Memphis, Tennessee. You guys, I've been in real estate since 2006, right? As a real estate agent, as a real estate broker. But most of y'all know me because I'm your auction mama. I auction off foreclosures at the courthouse here in Shelby County, parts of Nashville, parts of Mississippi. So, July's foreclosure numbers have come out. You know, I've been following these for the past few years. So, I come on here and try to share as much information as I can with you. Oh, you guys, and don't forget, I've got a free live masterclass this Thursday. Today is August 18th. It is Sunday. My masterclass is this Thursday, August 22nd. So, if you are watching this and it is not August 22nd, it's before August 22nd, go register. It's all about foreclosures. We're talking pre-foreclosures, auctions, and REO bank properties. Absolutely free. It's live. I will answer your questions. The link is down below to register. I know I said it's free, so it's absolutely free, you guys. And it's always a good time. I mean, I'm your auction mama. All my master classes are like a good time, honestly. So let's jump into these July foreclosure numbers. Now, first of all, y'all know what I'm going to say. These numbers are just numbers. You know, they are not set in stone. You know, if you ask me, I think the numbers are much higher. But let's see what Adam data is saying. I will link this article down below so you can read it, bookmark it, and follow along. So let's jump in. Nationwide, 1 in every 4,000 housing units had a foreclosure filing in July, which is not really a lot, right? So this U.S. foreclosure market report shows there were a total of 31,929 U.S. properties with foreclosure filings. I've said this before. There's usually 3 phases in the foreclosure process. You have that notice of default, right? A homeowner usually gets behind 3 months. Then the lender will file that notice of default, notice of sale, right? After that, they will schedule their auction. And after that, the property is repossessed. So 3 main phases of foreclosure, okay? Depending on where you live, you could live in a judicial state, non-judicial state, so it varies depending on where you live. So it's up
I'm in the wrong
15% from June. So the numbers are going up. Nobody is surprised by this, right? July's foreclosure activity reflects a slight shift in the housing market, with an 18% increase in foreclosure starts and a 14% rise in completed foreclosures from last month. So a completed foreclosure, it means it went through the entire process and the bank repossessed it, so it became an REO property. So it's a spike in REOs, banks taking back properties. Okay. So let's talk about the states, because that is what y'all want to know, right? The states with the highest foreclosure rates right now. We're going to talk states, cities, and counties. Okay. So states with the highest foreclosure rates were Delaware. Let me move this computer over because I keep straining trying to look. Here we go. Were Delaware. We also had Nevada, 1 in every 2,000 housing units, Utah, New Jersey, and Illinois. Okay, so among metropolitan cities with at least 200,000 people, the highest foreclosure rates for July were Provo, Orem, Utah. Have y'all heard of Provo? Am I saying it right? Because I know y'all will correct me. Provo, Orem, Utah. Macon, Georgia. Columbia, South Carolina. We know Columbia, Spartanburg. Y'all have been on the list in South Carolina. Spartanburg, South Carolina. Atlantic City, Hamilton, New Jersey. Those were those. So Macon, Georgia, Columbia, South Carolina, Spartanburg, South Carolina, Atlantic City, Hamilton, New Jersey. Y'all, if I said the names wrong, forgive me. Okay, forgive me. Now let's talk about cities with at least 1 million. So these bigger metropolitan cities. For July, Las Vegas, Nevada. Y'all remember Vegas got hit real hard by the last housing downturn. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Jacksonville, Florida. Chicago, Illinois. And Riverside, California. So those are the big cities with the greatest amount of foreclosures right now. So let's talk about foreclosure starts. Again, 3 phases. This is the first stage. These are new foreclosures. These are homeowners that are just now getting that foreclosure notice. What I want everybody to keep in mind, I've said this before, a lot of people can go through the process multiple times, right? You get behind, you stop paying your mortgage, the lender files a foreclosure notice on you, then you call and say, can I do a modification? And they say, okay, you can do a modification. Then you do a modification, and then you get behind again. So then they file that foreclosure notice again. You know what I mean? Then people will be like, well, I'm going to file bankruptcy. You file bankruptcy. You come out of bankruptcy, you get behind on your mortgage again, then you go back into foreclosure again. So you can go into foreclosure multiple times, okay? So the greatest number of foreclosure starts, this is what we're talking about. Lenders started the foreclosure process on 21,870 U.S. properties in July 2024, up 18% from last month, okay? States that had the greatest number of foreclosure starts in July 2024 included, y'all know, I'm sure everybody can guess, the biggest states in the United States. California with 2,342 foreclosure starts. Florida with 2,339, Texas with 2,222, Illinois with 1,221, and New York with 1,145. We can all name some things that are going on in each of those states, right? California, Florida, you know. So let's keep going. Now, we're going to talk about cities because we got the states. Let's narrow it down to cities with the most foreclosure starts. New York City had 1,286 foreclosure starts. Chicago, Illinois, 1,555. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania had 782 foreclosure starts. Miami, Florida had 758 new foreclosures. And I know everybody's like, Miami is the place to go. Everybody's moving. Everybody is not a billionaire and millionaire. You know what I mean? That's just not everybody. Miami is hot, and it's a lot of these cities. I always say what goes up must come down. So those cities that were super hot, you had multiple offers, you know, open houses were around the block, looked like a club line trying to get into an open house. Those are the cities to watch, right? What goes up must come down. Let me say that. So, major cities: New York City, New York, Chicago, Illinois, 1,555, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Miami, Florida with 758, and Los Angeles, California with 689. Let's talk about REOs. Again, my master class, you guys, this Thursday, August 22nd. It's absolutely free, you guys. Absolutely free. Like, honestly, you can go back and look, like, in my past videos, and you can watch previous master classes that I've done. They're always free. I just try to give y'all as much information as I possibly can. So just register so you get the link to come to the master class. Bring your questions, you know what I mean? Bring your tea. You can come and have your pajamas on, you know what I mean? So, let's talk about completed foreclosures. These are REO properties, right? All the way through the foreclosure process. They probably went up for auction. They didn't sell at auction because a lot of properties are upside down. And keep in mind, the opening bid is the loan balance, okay? So I'm going to give y'all a little quick auction 101, you know, information, education right now. So when a property goes up for auction, you guys, that opening bid is the loan balance, okay? So I'm seeing right now at the courthouse a lot of properties that were just bought in 2022, 2023, post-COVID. You bought in the last 2 years, you owe that whole loan. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say, right? So I'm seeing properties going up for auction that were just purchased 2 years ago, and that loan balance is too high, right? You go to the auction and get a deal. You're not going to the auction to pay full price for a property, right? So, and if you bought 2 years ago, you might owe more than what it's worth. So that opening bid is more than what the property is even worth. So nobody's going to buy it at the auction. Properties that don't sell at the auction revert back to the bank, and they are called REO properties. You will learn all about this in the masterclass. So, REO properties, states with the most bank-owned properties, you guys. Lenders repossessed 3,282 U.S. properties through completed foreclosure, also known as REO, in July, up 14% from June. States that had the greatest number of REO properties included New York with 377, California with 370, Illinois with 221 new REO properties, Pennsylvania with 219, and Michigan with 212. Let's talk about the cities with the most REO properties. We have New York City with 271, Chicago with 136, San Francisco, California with 104, Detroit, Michigan with 100, and Los Angeles with 97. Where do you find REO properties? You guys, REO properties, that's HUDHomestore.gov, homepath.com, homesteps.com, Truist, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo all have their own REO websites. You can use traditional financing. You do not have to pay cash. At the auction with me, you got to pay cash. But REO properties, you can get an FHA, conventional VA loan, FHA 203K. You know what? We're going to talk about all this in the masterclass on Thursday. Click the link below. Okay, so those are the REO properties for the month of July. Now let's jump in. Last thing, let's talk about the top 10 counties. Top 10 counties across the United States with the highest foreclosure rates. Okay, top 10 counties. So the top 10 counties right now with the most foreclosures across the country. Number 10 is Delaware County, Pennsylvania. Number 9 is Osceola County, Florida. Is it Osceola or is it Osceola? Osceola County, Florida. Number 8, Richland County, South Carolina. Number 7, Ascension County, Louisiana. Number 6, Warren County, New Jersey. If I call out your county, y'all, comment below. Let me know. Y'all seen a lot of people. Y'all know some people in foreclosure. People complaining about the bills being too high. That's everywhere. Everywhere people complaining about groceries, gas, life, everything. Too high right now. So 6, Warren County, New Jersey. Number 5 is Lake County, Indiana. Number 4, Sussex County, New Jersey. Number 3, Charles County, Maryland. Number 2, Utah County, Utah. Y'all, I don't know what's going on in Utah. Like, they're never on the list, honestly. Is it a factory shutting down in Utah? You know what I mean? Sometimes that'll affect, because Utah is like never on the list. And I've said this before, a lot of times if a county or a city or a state has like no foreclosures and then all of a sudden they get an increase in like 10 foreclosures, then it makes it look like they had like a huge 100% increase. You know what I mean? When they started at 0 and just got, you know what I mean? But Utah is like never on the list, and it's number 2 with the of counties of the top 10. It is literally number 2. Utah County, Utah, you guys. And number 1, I have been waiting on them. No shade, no shade. Number 1 county with the most foreclosures for July, Bibb County, Georgia. I have been waiting on Georgia to get on these lists. No shade to people in Georgia. Shout out to Georgia, you guys. It's just because I see your real estate, right? I see how quickly it went up post-pandemic. I saw how people were paying over for your real estate prices. I saw investors gobbling up properties, right? And now I'm seeing, and I've just been waiting for it to hit mainstream or for Georgia's numbers to hit, you know, the TV. But I've been seeing foreclosures in Georgia for a long time, right? I know Georgia has auctions already scheduled for January of 2025. I've seen Georgia's numbers going up. I was just waiting for everybody else to see it, right? So I'm not surprised that Bibb County is number 1, and I predict that Georgia is going to have a bunch of foreclosures. I see their investors already. I see a lot of foreclosures in Georgia that are investors in foreclosure, buying properties, can't finish them, can't get off of them, in the middle of building and construction, and just can't pay that loan, you guys. So I'm not surprised, but this is the first time that Georgia has popped up on the list. So I wouldn't be surprised. Bibb, y'all in Bibb, where y'all? Bibb, what else is out there? Gwinnett County, Bibb, Cobb. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. So, you guys, those are the foreclosure numbers for July. I watched them. I will link the article down below so you can follow as well. I'm on Instagram, Your Agent Ashley on Instagram. Don't forget to sign up for the masterclass this Thursday. And you guys, I think that is it. That was a quick and to the point kind of video today. Shout out to all the new followers. Honestly, the channel has been growing. You guys, I am so grateful and so appreciative. I usually go live on Sundays, 8 p.m. Central Time. So try to catch that if you can. And just shout out to everybody. Y'all just save your money. If you don't want to put it in the bank, put it in a shoebox, put it under your mattress. Do what you got to do. Okay? Take care of yourself is what I'm saying. I'm not saying be selfish, but you know what I'm saying, right? Okay, you guys. So I will see you in the next video. And as always, thank you so much for watching.
Wow. Well, at least she's offering a free class. I had to do a lot of research when I tried to get my first house, which I failed to do. But I tried several times. I tried like 3 times to try to get a house. And I was so desperate, I was going to buy this old shack that had so many problems. I mean, it wasn't even worth inspecting simply because it had that many problems. But in a way, I lucked out. No, baby. I lucked out simply because nowadays it's a mess with the way things are with the automotive industry. I just saw a bunch of problems here. Oops, sorry. Slaughterfish scales are good for decoration and shit. Anyway. Yeah, I tried. Well, she's going over all these houses. What they do is, I tried various people to try to get a house, but the problem is it became a seller's market. And because I waited a little bit too long, and it took too long to do this and that, I lost the opportunity to buy it with just, I think it was, God, I don't remember. I forgot how long it was. Oh, here's a journal. Always pick that up. So you gotta go in the cave and kill some shit. Alright, so I got those two things there. What's this? Go collect a bounty. It's a lot easier just to paralyze and kill them manually instead of trying to fireball everything. Yeah, that brings back memories. I cannot even remember. I think it was like 20 houses I went driving around to see, maybe more. And they were beautiful houses. And by the time me and this girl that was my agent, by the time we got there,
Wait, I know you.
it pretty much told me that let me get this done.
I'm Igman's uncle. Excellent. You've done us a great service. Here is your reward. I advise Igman the same way I advised his father.
Alright, so I managed to turn that in.
As his house brought, Igman secured as my chief. Igman's father was killed by force. I want the rest until next week.
So anyway, I lost my train of thought. If I had managed to buy that shack, if my mom had lent me the $2,000 I needed, she would potentially be living in there with me. And I don't know what's going on with her. She would be living in there with me, most likely, saving a lot of money, because she wasted a lot of money on rent for an apartment because she didn't want to live with anybody after all those years of, you know, doing everything in her power to make sure we stayed poor like an idiot. But, you know, ultimately that woman was literally put in my life to be contradictory, you know, or to deny me and to you know, mess with me. But, you know, the truth is I didn't save up enough money. I only had $4,000. And now, in the end, the courts got all the money. The courts just drained the hell out of me. And that's what happened. So
Need something?
you can thank all the federal judges and the state judges for all their parasitism. And you can thank that demon that possessed me. I can't return to Eggman right now. Let's see, what's this? boy. So anyway, yeah, it was you know, these people, they play hardball, and I've never been a good negotiator. I always get screwed. I even got screwed on my first car in San Antonio. But I'm just glad I had a little bit of money saved up to buy that lemon, because that lemon kept me going. It was a Honda Civic, one of the standard Honda Civics, and I went everywhere in that little car, but it became too much for my knees. I just couldn't do it anymore because of my knees. And I had fun. I really did have fun. Yeah. So anyway, there was various places that will give you training on how to buy a home, and if you go through an agent, they'll walk you through the process. But some agents are better than others. Some agents, they just want to get paid. Others, they're actually trying to help you to get a house and not get charged an arm and a leg for it, which is kind of important, I think. So let's make sure that we got charge on this weapon. See, that's why I check. I'm gonna run out of charge in the middle of the damn fight. Okay. Wait a minute. I have two weapons. About this one. Okay. Let's do this. Alright. Go in there and fuck some shit up. Save it. Always save it before you go in. Check your weight. My weight's too low. Too high. Now that I can go ahead and quick travel to Whiterun and see if I can go ahead and do something else there. So anyway, they have good intention, but if they sell you a shack, it's going to be expensive in the long term. It's like they say, there's a saying, el barato te sale caro. El barato te sale caro is the cheap eventually becomes expensive. So you buy something cheap, eventually you'll have to fix it or replace it because it's cheap because it doesn't last or it's worn or old.
Hello, friend. An archer, eh?
Mm-hmm.
I've got just what you need.
Anyway, let's get rid of this weight, then I'll go back there and kill some shit. Because those guys that are in there, they have a lot of stuff on them. I need to get rid of Dawnbreaker. Oh wow, that's expensive. Okay. Oh shit, I got way too many
Thank you,
potions. God, the potions are virtually weightless. Jeez. Anyway. So we'll go back over there. And start kicking some ass. I used to come here, kill that one guy out here, and just take all his equipment. Because he's got a lot of stuff. Got a little bit of food and everything. Because when you play the version where it's survival mode, it's interesting. Let's go ahead and play the next video. Once again, that was Ashley Pickens. U.S. foreclosure hotspots in July 2024. Top cities and states where homeowners are struggling most. Thumbs up. Yeah, it's nice. You know, if you're interested in buying a house at this time, at this day and age, you could do it. But I would just go attend a free seminar or her master class just to learn. I wouldn't try to go in there and accomplish anything unless you have a majority of the money to put down on a house. But you know, people are selling their homes now because they can't afford them, which is a different level of problem as far as I know. So that's just something to think about. Okay. Thank you, Ashley. This man, I got two videos. This one is recent. This one is a little bit older. It's about a day older. It's random videos with JV. And, you know, like everybody's going through some shit. Says more and more men are homeless and in despair. Yeah. I had to kick out a friend of mine who was homeless because he couldn't keep a job. I needed money from him to pay the rent. That's why I helped him, besides the fact that he's a nice guy, but I had to ask him to leave. I hope he wins $1 million, I swear, you know, but I can't help him. I'm only here until I can get my resources together. So anyway, let's see what he has to say.
What's going on, guys? It's me, JV, coming to you live this Sunday afternoon. Today is August 18th. It's 2024. And I just was driving around San Francisco this morning. And as I was driving through San Francisco and Oakland, but primarily San Francisco, I noticed many men, particularly men, some women were lounging around the streets of San Francisco, mainly in the Tenderloin area, south of Market. But the overwhelming majority of the people that I saw in despair and absolute loss, just gazing at the walls, were many men that were just lounging around with no sense or direction, no sense or no purpose or direction for that matter in their particular lives. And it got me thinking, in the last 20 years or so, we have seen an explosion of people that, men across this country in the United States, that are living lonely, that are living in despair, that are living on the streets of the very big urban metropolitan areas across this country, whether it's in California, whether it's in Texas, whether it's in New York, Illinois, Washington, you name it. There's a lot of people that are just walking around with a very lost gaze in their eyes, and I think it's a reflection of our society and how we have failed as a country to provide the basic necessities to people that are in despair, to people that are in need. And I'm not talking about just handing money over to people that are mentally ill, that are psychologically challenged. I'm not talking about handing them money. I'm talking about providing them with psychological therapy, with psychiatric therapy in some cases, to people that are living in the streets, and giving them an opportunity to actually become productive members of society, eventually become sober. And I think it's a reflection of this country. You know, you got to ask yourself, how is it possible that the most powerful country on the planet, the most prosperous country in the history of mankind, with the most amount of resources, How did the United States get all of its resources? That's a topic for a different video. I can go on and on about how the United States has managed to amass so much wealth, even though it's $35 trillion in debt right now. But how is it possible that the most prosperous, economically speaking, country in the world have so many homeless people, so many men walking around the streets in despair and completely lost and with absolutely no future for them in some cases? How is that possible? Why have we wasted so much money on useless things like foreign wars? You know, we've seen it in Iraq. We saw it in Afghanistan. We're seeing it right now, sending money to Israel, sending money to Ukraine, wasting so much money on so many useless things like becoming the largest military by far in the planet, biggest military. The U.S. military is bigger than the next 9 biggest militaries in the world combined. Think about that. Just think about the insanity of that statement. And yet we have so many people just lounging around the streets, and so many homeless people. I actually tried to talk to a lady. She was sitting down. She looked pretty rough, to be honest with you. She was walking around shoeless. I noticed there was some callus on her feet. It really made me feel a little bit uncomfortable, knowing that here I am sitting in this comfortable chair, drinking a nice refreshment, you know, just enjoying this beautiful Sunday afternoon, and yet that poor lady, I can't even help but to think, you know, how is it possible that she's even able to walk? How can she possibly walk with callus on her feet, barefoot? She was walking barefooted, if that's even a word. And I tried to talk to her. I talked to her for about a minute and a half. It didn't seem like she had she wasn't very interested in opening up and having a dialogue with me. She sounded pretty rational. She definitely sounded like she was in her 5 senses, which is even more tragic. The fact that she's suffering so much out on the street. And I actually had a sandwich that I prepared for myself earlier this morning, because I was going to be eating it in the 3 o'clock hour. That's normally when I take my lunch on the weekends. But she didn't want any part of it. You know, she didn't want to take it. Maybe she wasn't very, she didn't trust me. That's a possibility. But it's just, it's tragic. And you know what's even more tragic? The fact that the governor of this state, Gavin Newsom, and the mayor of San Francisco, London Breed, want to criminalize these folks. They want to criminalize homeless people. They want to throw them off the streets. They want to just clean the streets, and God knows where they're going to be putting them. And I just think it's an absolute travesty. That should not be happening in this country. There should be enough resources to go around to be able to take, you know, care of homeless people. Because let's face it, we can all be homeless from one day to the next. We're only one unfortunate and tragic event away from being homeless ourselves. I lost my house back in 2006.
Yeah.
Actually, 2010. I bought my house in 2006, and I lost my house in 2010. Imagine that. I could have been homeless if it wasn't for my relatives.
Yeah.
So we can all be homeless from one day to the next, and for the government, for the state and local government of the state of California to just completely turn their backs on the homeless, on homeless people, and criminalizing them for not having anywhere, for not having any shelter. It's an absolute travesty. It's an outrage, and it should not be tolerated, in my opinion. And that's what I noticed this morning, and not just this morning. I mean, I've been noticing this like I mentioned as I mentioned at the opening of this video, for the last 20 years, I've been seeing so many homeless people, so many men just walking around in despair. You know, with a gaze in their eyes, just not knowing what they're doing. I mean, so many of them are mentally ill, and it just should not be happening under any circumstances. We ought to do something about this. I know that there's a couple of YouTube channels that devote their entire attention to the homeless crisis. They try to provide, they basically try to shed a light on these folks on an individual and intimate basis, and they let them relate their story and how they got to where they are today. And a lot of them are very coherent, they're very smart, they're very put together mentally. It's just that one unfortunate financial hardship, maybe they got laid off from their job, maybe, you know, they lost a limb.
Yeah.
There's so many reasons why
Anything can happen.
they ended up being homeless, but I think we need to do something about it. And what the governor of California, Newsom, and what the mayor of San Francisco, Breed, want to do is just not the solution, in my opinion. It's not the solution. And then you got the Olympic Games coming to LA in 2028, and the mayor of Los Angeles, I believe her last name is Bass, they're gonna do the same thing. They're gonna clean house, man. They're gonna sweep the homeless out of sight, so that the tourists don't have a sore eye when they're watching their stupid Olympic Games. But anyway, I just wanted to discuss this video very, very briefly. And by the way, I want to thank each and every one of you that commented on the last video that I recorded last night. I was feeling pretty down. I was feeling depressed. I did go to sleep early. I went to sleep like around 9:30 in the evening. Woke up early this morning, went to the gym at 6. I was at the gym for about 2.5 hours, and then I started working at 11. So the fact that I went to sleep at 9:30 last night really gave me a lot of energy and the ability to wake up at 5 in the morning today, so that I would be able to exercise and get myself back on track. But yeah, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. All the good wishes. You guys are incredible, and that's what it's all about, you know. Because as I said on my topic of last night's video, we're all gonna die eventually. It's just a matter of time before each and every one of us physically leave this earth. And I think we want to leave a footprint as far as being nice to people, as far as having an open heart and treating each other with respect. I think that's what it's all about. But anyway, thank you so much for watching the video. I will talk to you probably tomorrow. Have a great rest of your Sunday, and thank you once again for watching. Bye-bye.
Yeah. See, there's a lot of people that are trying to make videos to get people to prepare themselves. For the inevitable outcome of this economy, which is going to be massive homelessness, according to most people. Now, they don't really believe, they're not factoring in potential supernatural events, worldwide events that are outside the control of humanity. This place is run by things that are not human, or what we would consider things outside of a human body. Some call them interdimensional, or I wouldn't call them alien, but they're definitely not human by our standards. So this place is run. I mean, it's owned and operated by these people, and they're the ones that are responsible for all these messes. See, if you have a backyard in your house and you don't clean it up, then you're just an irresponsible, lazy person that doesn't want to really hold themselves accountable to a certain standard of cleanliness. You have a house, you are accountable for how it looks, making sure it's clean, making sure it's decent looking. If you have too much shit outside, you get a shed and you put that stuff in the shed, like small machinery and stuff. That's what you're supposed to do. And a lot of these guys, they just won't do it, you know. They just won't do it. And that's why housing, what's it called? What are they called? HOAs. HOAs were born because people were keeping their houses unkept. They weren't investing in their houses and taking care of the house that they lived in, because they were basically being trashy and not taking care of the house. So other people who had money and wherewithal created HOAs and started forcing HOAs to monitor things. It's a perfect example of government. Because people were personally irresponsible with their houses and they trashed their houses, they wouldn't take care of their homes, right? HOAs were born to try to keep the property value high. So because a house is an investment, whether you rent it or you live in it, it's an investment. It's an equity. So they wanted to maintain the property value. So they only want people living in HOA areas that have the money to maintain their houses. And what's happening is people are losing their houses because the prices are too high. You can't pay for that AC. But what we used to do, like in the trailer, my mom had this trashy old trailer we lived in. You know, we had one main AC in the living room that we would turn on. And I was allowed to have a fan. So in order to get the cold air into my room, because my room was not too far away from over there, the AC would be turned on sometime in the afternoon. It would be off to save electricity. Then she would turn it on and it would cool everything. She had her own separate AC in her back room for her room, a smaller AC. So she had one small AC in her room, and there was one in the living room. And in the living room, when it was turned on, I'd put a fan on the floor at the foot of my door to my room, and I would blow the cold air, which is always on the bottom, into my room. And it would blow it on me, and that's how it would keep cool. And in order to save some of that cold air from going further down the trailer, I put up like a curtain so that would stop the air from going further than my room. And that's how I redirected the air, and I spread it out. And I did that so that I can stay cool, and it saves electricity. You know? So people are not even able to buy a cheap window unit for their house. They're not able to pay for roof repairs. They're not able to make payments because they can't find work. See, the whole thing works together. If you cannot find work, then you're in trouble, because you're supposed to be able to find reasonable labor, reasonable wage, and there's a lot of places in the U.S. without unions, and even like the automotive manufacturers, they're losing people too, because nobody's buying the cars. The whole thing is slowly dying, the whole system. So, you know, that lady's offering a master class, but that's only for people who have saved up their pennies. Maybe they have 10 grand, 20 grand to put down on a cheap house so they can get, you know, a place of their own. Maybe they have a family or whatever. But a single guy like me, I couldn't find anything cheap except a shack, which I wish to God I had bought. Even though it's a bitch right now, it would have been cheaper than the money I'm paying here. I'm paying $1,200 here. That house would have been, I think, $600. No, it would have been $700 or $800. No, was it $700 or $800? I don't know. It's anywhere from $600 to $800, but it would have been a lot cheaper than it is here. And so I failed in that regard. But I learned that if you really, really save up your pennies, you can still accomplish that goal.
This is the disciple, of course. To the east, even its name is an echo. I think if we, but even if you could get to the end of it, if you want to, you'll have to, it's called Nettlebane. Your spirit, it's held in a hag-raven nest called Orphan Rock.
So anyway, yeah, it's sad. Oh God, it's so sad. But anyway, this guy's, we were talking about homelessness. That was the topic. It's everywhere. It's everywhere in the nation. People are being abandoned by the wayside by corporations and the like. That's what I'm saying. I'm lucky I have a work-at-home job. I can take care of my cats. I'm thankful for what I have. Even though I don't own this place and I pay $1,200 a month because nobody, I can't trust anybody to live with me. The guy that was there last time, he brought bed bugs. He cost me a bunch of money with bed bugs. He almost burnt down the fucking apartment 4 times. He left the goddamn burner on 4 times. It didn't work out. And he had medical issues and he couldn't find a job. And he was an excuse maker. What the hell am I going to do with an excuse maker? I mean, honestly, I need somebody who's going to do the job, and pay the rent.
I'd even buy one.
I wouldn't be so bad off if he had done that. But, I told him, I'm not here to carry you. Well, actually, I did carry him for a while. But I just can't afford to carry him, I said. Which is true. And then he tried to be a smart ass and say, well, I didn't really cost you any money. Because I'm paying all the basic bills and just barely doing it. He tried to make it a selling point that he didn't cost me any money. It was hundreds of dollars to deal with the bed bugs. I had to wash all my laundry, buy that plastic thing. I mean, it added up. And I got spray after spray after spray for that shit. And there's no real spray for bed bugs. I have to make a video on how to resolve that issue because I got rid of them for a while, but the bed bug larva was still there. But I found a way to get rid of those things. It's just that, he just wasn't concerned. And it's like, he's not much of a friend if I'm over here financially suffering and you're over there making a bunch of bullshit excuses. So I had to get rid of him because that just sucks, man, what he did. That just sucks. And, yeah. I was disappointed in him. I really was. I mean, he's a nice guy, but he's not that nice. Not if he sits there and doesn't care if I suffer. So, And it's funny, he had everything packed and ready to go. Like he was ready to leave. He had everything ready to go. And I told him, no, you don't have to go right now. Just take a couple of weeks to get yourself situated. You don't have to go right now. I mean, the guy was ready to leave. Why? He didn't ask me, hey, can I stay? Can I stay here? Come on, I'll promise to pay. He didn't even try, which means he already made up his mind to leave. Otherwise, he would have tried to stay. You see? And he didn't. So that was a little test of mine to see if he really wanted to live here and stay here. And he didn't. And he didn't want to pay. So out of here. I was going to put my little room for rent online to try to find somebody else. But, Sister Sonia was right. I mean, it's just, you're not ready for that, she goes. Because it's a pain. It's a pain to live with somebody sometimes. Not everybody's a cooperative person. Not everybody's rational. Some of these people are just going to bullshit their way through things. And you just get tired of it. He almost burns the thing down. And I go, Bernie, the burner's on. The whole apartment's hot. He warmed up the whole apartment. And he was in this room doing whatever. And I go, that it was on when I came home. You got to see for yourself. It's all hot in here. I don't know what to tell you. I couldn't believe he said that. I mean, what do you mean you don't know? He was the one cooking before I left to go shopping. I didn't turn on the stove. He left it on because he wasn't focusing on what he was doing. And it could be his age, it could be his illness, but I can tell you right now that I just can't afford to be dealing with that shit. I really can't. So he figured because I can pay all the bills and feed the cats and feed myself that I didn't cost him any money. After he brought bed bugs in here, you know how much money it cost me to wash all my clothes twice and dry them in hot it's got to be at least $200 in all the things going out there. All the stuff I had to buy, just things trying to combat that shit. Spray bottles, and that plastic thing. I mean, it adds up. And it was a burden. It was a physical burden to be washing all the clothes. I have a lot of clothes. I have winter clothes and things like that. And it's a bitch, So anyway, let's see. I'm sorry I vented. Anyway, we're about an hour. I'm going to play his one last video that he had recently, and we'll go from there. Thought I had a two-handed... Oh, here it is. I was really disappointed. I'm not mad, but I'm just disappointed. That's all.
Do come back.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go ahead and do that. Although, well... it's been an hour. I think I'm going to cut it, and then I'll go ahead and start a new one. All right? There we go. Thanks for watching.